Hello, everybody. Hello. It's Thursday evening, December 3rd. Can you believe it? Crazy how this year just flew by with nothing really happening on a day to day basis, so to speak. Let me just pull up my group so I can actually see who is coming on. And whoever's joining me tonight, I would love for you guys to accept StreamYard so that I can actually see who is chatting with me here on the live. So you have to go in there and then you have to grant Streamline permission so that I can see your name and that we can have a conversation on here. Okay, so let's see. Here we go. All right. So this year is coming to a close. It's crazy. I said just a minute ago how this year flew by. And typically for me, it's that every year has a certain feel to it, depending on what we did, where we went on vacation, or what adventures we went on, or what happened. But this year was just a continuation of very similar days rotating through the year that didn't really give us that feeling of definition of 2020 besides whatever else is going on. But and then I find too, and let me know if you find that too, is that this year I found that a lot of people put up their Christmas decoration really, really early. So um we did too, I have to say. I guess just to have something to enjoy and celebrate. Trainwreck comes to mind. Yes. Yes, I agree 100%. But you know what? It has this year has also brought us a lot of for us personally in our family anyways, a lot of clarification on priorities and really digging into how we want to spend our lives, what's important to us. So that is a good thing as well. Okay, so I can't see who's online. You either have to grant stream your permission or just pop your name in the chat and then we can get started. So welcome everybody. Welcome to this live show on Thursday evening tonight. Tonight's topic is very dear to my heart and it's such a huge topic I really want to share with you and discuss with you and give you some tips and ideas about. It's inflammation. Hello, everybody. It's inflammation. Let's talk about inflammation because inflammation for us all in here is a very important topic to talk about. But there's a lot of myths that surround inflammation. And I also find too that there's a lot of negative feeling that we experience towards inflammation. And so let's talk about inflammation, what it is first, um, that it's actually necessary for your body, and how inflammation then can really rear its ugly head when it derails. And then at the end of it, I will give you some really good ideas and tips and strategies on how you can try to lower your inflammation on a daily basis. And if there's any questions throughout the live, just pop them in the comment and I will get to the questions when I'm done. Okay. All right. So let's get started. Inflammation. So, inflammation, we all hear that word and we're saying, oh, yeah, there's lots of inflammation going on in my body. And then what is it, right? So, inflammation, when we talk about it, especially as with autoimmune, we look at inflammation and we see it as something really bad that's happening to us. And we're almost having that sense of negative feeling and regret and almost like we don't want to have anything to do with inflammation. But the truth of the matter is that inflammation initially is actually something that is super important and necessary for your body to keep you healthy. So I see a lot of resentment, and in a lot of people who are dealing with autoimmune disease, as well as people who are dealing with chronic gut issues. There's a lot of resentment that's coming up towards your own body. And that is because we almost sometimes feel as if our bodies have failed us. Our bodies have turned against us, and our bodies are now starting to destroy our cells, our healthy cells, and is causing all of these negative symptoms. And so we are starting to have this negative relationship with our body, and inflammation is um, a core fact in that as well. So tonight, I just want to demystify that a little bit, because inflammation initially is something that it's a natural response. It's something that your body does in order to keep you healthy. And it's really the primary tool in your immune system arsenal that keeps you healthy. And how does it do it? Well, think about your inflammation when you have a cut on your hand. When you have a cut on your hand and something an invader gets in there, or a trigger that gets into your skin and starts an infection, then the inflammation causes heat and swelling. And it causes heat because it causes your blood flow to become more prevalent in that area, so that it delivers nutrients and building blocks into that area to be able to deliver building blocks to create new cells and to heal the wound and to heal the infection that is happening. It creates the swelling to buffer that area, to keep it protected, and so that the healing can take place, right? So that is inflammation, and that is super necessary for us, right? Without that, and without that natural response of your body, your immune system would have to deal with like so many irritants and invaders coming your way, and would be fully overwhelmed within a very short time. So when the immune system starts to get triggered and starts antibodies and those cytokines, so these responders attack the offending invader in the process, and both destroy the invader and also creates that barrier to protect you. So in these instances, in the acute inflammation, you see that the inflammatory process happens, but then once the tissue is healed, it winds down. And you can see and you can feel the inflammation in your body, and it's very obvious. However, there's a different type of inflammation that is happening in our bodies, and that is internal. And so the internal inflammation is not so obvious, right? We don't see it, and oftentimes we don't even feel it in the very early stages. And so that is the issue, because this kind of inflammation that is happening internally can then cause or result in chronic inflammation, which is the culprit, which is something that we are dealing with. And so when we internally experience triggers that are causing issues, it is, for the most part, it happens in the gut, right? And that is why I really focus in my work on, and in this group, and whenever I talk to people, I focus on the importance of getting your gut in a good shape, because your gut is such a big piece of the puzzle when it comes to reducing inflammation long term, even for us with autoimmune, where the chronic aspect of it is in place, and where the acuteness of it is diminished. So there is all of these triggers happening and all of the responses happening. However, there is never an end to it. There's never, the healing process is never resolved and completed. And so there's the constant incoming influx of triggers and invaders and irritants that are causing the inflammation to swell all the time. It's like a fire that is never being put out completely, And so that causes tissue damage all over the place. And so when we talk about inflammation in that respect, I want to talk about the gut a little bit tonight, because we can all start with getting into the gut area and start with day-to-day nutrition and lifestyle changes to really support our immune system, restore and repair the gut so that our immune system gets stronger just by reducing the chronic inflammation. Because it is absolutely necessary, and it's absolutely possible to, even in a chronic condition, to lower the inflammation. And I will give you 4 or 5 tips, how the steps that you have to undertake in order to get there. Okay, so I hope that makes sense for now. I'm just going to take a sip of water. So I wanted to share with you guys that there are 80 known autoimmune diseases that are currently known in the medical field. There are 80, right? And then there's many more autoimmune conditions that are not even known yet, right? But people suspect that it has an autoimmune side to it as well. So that is crazy. And when you think of it that the chronic disease is something that is rampant in our society. And just look at our group here. Like look at where we're all coming from, right? So we are all coming from different areas. We grew up in different countries, even. We grew up in different environments, right? We grew up under different circumstances. And yet we all experience some sort of chronic inflammation in our bodies. So I just wanted to throw that out there to tell you guys that it's not your fault that this is happening to you. It's not our fault, right? It's something that's happening in the whole world that is affecting everybody. And so we have to now individually deal with it. But I'm going to tell you that you can, and it's absolutely possible. So there's many factors that can really contribute to chronic inflammation, right? So I'm talking about the gut here, but we're also talking about toxins, right? So toxic overload, environmental toxins, or even toxins on the food, pesticides, fungicides, everything. So, but tonight, let's just stick with the gut, and I will show you how you can restore and repair the gut. It's called gut-associated inflammation, and it's really one of the key components to address when dealing with a chronic inflammation. It's without a doubt. So, and when you think about it too, is if you start with healing your gut or repairing your gut, it's such a big component in all of our chronic inflammation that you can really lower the autoimmune response just by doing that, right? So that is why we always start with healing the gut. And it's also the easiest to address because you eat on a daily basis. So you can feel empowered by making the right choices on how you want to nourish your body and how you can support the gut repair in order to lower the inflammation. You have that power because you can take the action every day. So I was thinking, instead of giving you guys just a list of anti-inflammatory foods tonight, those ones you can just easily look up online. I will actually teach you how, and I will educate you around the steps that you need to take and the areas of your gut you need to address. And you have to focus on with food and lifestyle in order to bring down the inflammation. I think this is going to be way more valuable to you than just telling you eat this, eat that, whatever it is, because really for everybody, it's a little bit different anyways. Okay. So there is one program that I love. I adopted it from a functional medicine practitioner, and he coined the term CARE program, so CARE. And I love that because it really encompasses all of the steps that need to take place in order to repair the gut. Okay. So it starts with a C, which stands for cleanse. So the cleansing part, guys, is so, so important. Cleansing slash removing your triggers. So I gave you the example earlier with cut in your hand, but let's now talk about or think about another scenario in where you step into a splinter or a splinter gets into your foot, right? And there's all these things you can do, like you can put all kinds of topical creams on it to reduce the heat. You can take pain medication. You can suppress the inflammatory response, and you might feel a little bit of relief. However, if you don't pull the sliver or out of your foot, it will never completely heal over, right? If a little bit of the splinters keeps being stuck in your skin, the inflammatory process will continue to happen. And that's exactly what happens in the gut, right? So if you find out that you are, let's say, sensitive to dairy, just as an example, and if you say to yourself, I'm not going to have dairy so much, I'm just going to have it every once in a while. You know that every once in a while is going to trigger another inflammatory response that can last for a couple of months to completely gradually go down. And then by that time, maybe you have another sip of milk or have another piece of cheese, which then just recreates the whole inflammatory process. So removing the triggers is super important in irritants to heal your gut. However, I'm not a big fan of a full-fledged AIP diet for the rest of your life. And you will see why in the next steps that I'm going to share with you. However, in the very beginning, it's truly, truly critical to remove the invaders that are causing the irritation and make your immune system respond with inflammation, right? And when we talk about inflammation, we talk about symptoms that your doctor can't detect. We talk about brain fog. We talk about joint pain. We talk about back pain, sinus issues, stomach pains, all of these things that are there and causing you issues, but your doctor can't put a label on it in the beginning, right? All of these are caused by inflammation. So remove your triggers, find out your triggers. And how do you do that? Number one is food journaling. It's a very effective tool that a lot of my clients use on a daily basis. Or let's say I make them use it. I know it's not something that everybody enjoys doing. However, it's critical and it's very important to do because it opens up the world, the intestinal world to you, and you get a really good feel for what your body cannot digest at this point. And if you have a notebook right now and a pen, I encourage you to take notes because that'll be very, very effective for you if you follow it. So food journaling is great for finding the triggers and then removing them, right? Finding the food sensitivities and removing them in order to allow your gut to heal. Also, don't forget other triggers, such as stress, for example, right? Stress is a huge component in inflammatory processes, which is a whole different story for a whole different day with hormonal imbalances, cortisol and such. But find the stress trigger, right? If you know that stress is causing you issues, you get those stomach knots in your stomach, or you just feel nauseous because you're stressed out, or find those triggers, find what is stressing you out and remove those triggers in your life, right? It could also be something like yeast overgrowth, right? It doesn't always have to be food. It can also be a parasite even, or yeast overgrowth, right? So if need be, get some testing done and see if you have a parasite or see if there is yeast overgrowth. Maybe you get a lot of urinary tract infections that could be part of yeast overgrowth. So for whatever trigger it is that is causing you the internal inflammation, remove it, okay, in the beginning. Cleanse it. Number two, once you have removed the irritant, you would go forth and you would reactivate the healthy function of the gut. So how you do that is by bridging any gaps or any deficiencies. So what does that mean, reactivating the healthy function of the gut? Well, in past videos, we talked a lot about the digestive system and how important it is so that food can be digested properly and absorbed properly. That is your digestive fire. This is your digestive function of the gut, right? And you need to bridge these gaps. So you need to reactivate those healthy functions so that when you remove the trigger, you can then work on reestablishing the health of your digestive tract, right? And so you can do that with certain nutrients and you can do that with certain supplementation. So we talked about hydrochloric acid. Start from the top and go all the way down to the bottom. Start at the top and think about your stomach, digestion, with chewing, breaking down your food, then go into your stomach and say, okay, maybe my stomach acid is low. Maybe I really need to up that in order to break up my proteins better, right? So figure that out. You can do that with hydrochloric acid supplementation, or you can do that with apple cider vinegar, a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar before your meals, or you can do that with digestive bitters or with some lemon water. There's multiple ways you can do that, but you need to go in there and you need to reactivate the healthy function of your gut. Okay, so that's step number two. So once you have done that, and you go all the way down, by the way, all the way down the intestinal system, all the way down the tube, you go all the way down to the digestive enzymes, okay? And then even a little bit further down into the colon, maybe with some, cleansing of the colon and stuff like that, okay? So once you're done that, the next step is restore. So we have cleanse, we have activate, and then the next one is restore. And what you restore is really where your immune system sits, and that is the depths of your intestinal system, and that is your microbiome, right? So we're talking about your colon, your intestinal, your small intestines, and we're talking about the good bacteria that are colonized in those areas and that are a huge part of your immune system and that keep you healthy and strong and keep everything in balance. Okay, so you need to restore your microbiome. It's that vast amount of trillions of microbes and bacteria that live in you and that have so many functions that are beneficial to you. And they suffer when there's inflammation going on. And when they suffer, everything else goes out of balance. So really supporting those is going to be crucial for you to be able to reduce inflammation. Okay, so how do you do that? How do you introduce those beneficial bacteria for your healthy gut flora? Well, there's multiple ways. There's always, of course, the supplementation. However, as a nutritionist, I love foods because whole foods, because really nature has provided us with all the good stuff that we need as a human in order to thrive, right? And so if there's a need to go in there with probiotics, which in many cases there is because there are such severe imbalances, go with foods first. And so how do you renourish your microbiome? You do that by feeding your good bacteria, and you do that by removing the overgrowth of bad bacteria. And so how do you feed your good bacteria? You feed your good bacteria with soluble fiber. Okay. So soluble fiber is, they love to eat soluble fiber. And so if you eat more fiber in your diet, you will nourish your microbiome and your good bacteria, right? And how do you get rid of the overgrowth of, the not so friendly bacteria? You can also do that with food, right? On a regular basis. For example, garlic, right? Or you can do that with onions, or you can do that with lemon water, but especially those pungent foods, such as garlic, is amazing. You can also do that with fermented foods. Fermented foods are amazing to restore and renourish your good bacteria. So those are all things you can do in order to restore and reintroduce those beneficial bacteria, or the food for those beneficial bacteria. Okay, that is step number 3. So we have cleanse, activate, restore, and then when you have done all of this work, what you want to do next is you want to enhance, right? You want to enhance your whole digestive, intestinal, gut system, because if you enhance it, you will make it stronger. You will rebuild the intestinal lining over time. You will be able to decrease inflammation just by making your gut stronger. And that means repairing the intestinal permeability, the leaky gut. It means regeneration of your microbiome. And it also means building your immune system with foods, right? So, how can you do that? What you can do is, there's so many foods that really help you enhance your gut. And just one more thing about the enhancing part of it is, after you did all this work of cleaning out your gut and bringing down the inflammation, and by the way, if you're strategically going through these steps, after you're done with step number 3, you will see that your brain fog will lift. You will see that your food intolerances will start to go down. And you will see that your stomach pains will not be there anymore. And this, in turn, will just repair your entire body and will bring down the inflammation. So you can see how important it is to really take a good look at the gut from the inside out. So, but let's go back to enhance. Enhance, another part of it is that in the future, after you've done all of this work, you want to make sure that you're not falling into the trap of it all over again. You want to keep that level of health and regeneration. You want to keep it for the rest of your life. So you need to make some changes in your diet in order to keep this ecosystem well and healthy, right? And you do that on all kinds of levels. And here's where variety comes in. And here's where, diversity comes in terms of food and nutrition. And here's when you pay attention to the colors of the food that you're eating, the phytonutrients, the chemicals that are in the color of your food have components in them that are strengthening your immune system. Then another thing is broth, right? Broth with the healing effect to the gut. So broth is super important in regenerating the gut. All those wonderful teas that there are, especially green tea. Green tea is amazing to bring down inflammation, or give your immune system certain chemicals that it needs in order to function properly. And another thing is aloe. I love aloe for my clients because aloe is really something that is has a very restorative effect on especially mucus lining. Okay, so aloe is another one. But generally, what you want to establish is you want to establish a diverse diet. You want to establish a diet that strays away from repetition. You don't want to be eating the same food day in, day out. Now, don't get me wrong, you don't have to come up like with a whole new menu plan for each day, but try to switch it up. Try to include more seasonal foods, right? So that your body, it breathes your environment, it lives in the environment, so it will respond to the seasonal foods that you're giving your body. Okay, so this is the part where the enhance comes in. So just to summarize, we have cleanse, so remove the trigger. We have activate, reactivate the healthy digestive system with foods. We have restore your microbiome and your intestinal lining. And then we have enhance to keep us on a good path in the future. And um, when you think about it, also in summary, is remember that inflammation is not bad per se. It's a response from your body. It's natural, and it's a response in order to keep you healthy and in order to protect you so that a wound that occurs or something, an infection that occurs, can be healed. It's chronic inflammation that is the issue, right? So, but keep in mind that if you continue to suppress your immune system with either a medication or prescription drugs or whatever, it will have an effect on how you feel. It'll take the pain away for that moment in time. And sometimes it is necessary, right? It is necessary to take away the pain so that your body gets a little bit of a breather in order to heal. However, over a long period of time, if you continue to suppress your immune system, you are just opening the gates for other irritants and triggers, and they come in, and you're suppressing, and your immune system is not readily available to take on all of these triggers, invaders, and irritants that are coming your way. So over time, you are creating an environment that is it's going to be more inflamed because there's going to be more fire starting all over your system. So that is why I believe, and I have seen for myself, that really getting to the bottom of where your triggers lie is so important, then removing them, and then nourishing with what nature gave us, which is food, and also be mindful about lifestyle changes, will really, really help you in order to bring the inflammation down over time. Yes, so this is what I wanted to share with you guys today. I'm going to take a sip of water, and please let me know if you guys have any questions. Post any questions in the comments for me to answer or to go back on. I see that you're all here. I love it. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. Yeah, so I just wanted to really demystify that a little bit, because we are oftentimes so fearful and critical, and sometimes we kind of like we we don't trust our bodies anymore, and we kind of like start to have that negative view on how we view our bodies, and we see that the body's actually working against us and not with us anymore. And so, but that's not the case, right? So your body was actually trying to protect you all of these years from all of these triggers and all of these invaders and irritants that were coming your way. And it was just was it was just wasn't addressed. And that's not your fault, like I said before. It's so many factors come together, and sometimes not even getting the right answers from our healthcare practitioners. And sometimes we feel lost because we do have all these symptoms and we don't know where they're stemming from. And so we are starting to create that negative view. But I hope that helped you a little bit today in order to reframe this mindset a little bit and rather work with your body and see that your body's actually trying to support you, and then work with your body and become a team with your body. Yeah, so this is what I wanted to say to you guys, and I hope you enjoyed this Facebook Live. And yeah, I don't see any questions right now, so if there's any questions coming up later on, please comment, post it in the comments, and I will reply. Okay. Well, I hope you guys have a wonderful evening, Thursday evening. And if I don't see you anymore before the weekend, I hope you have an amazing weekend and all the best. And I will see you again very soon. Good night.